Hey YouTube, welcome back to another Lightfoot Militia video. Today we're talking about skill level 1, required knowledge for core training, item number 1, command and organization of a Lightfoot Militia unit. We'll be talking about rank structure and unit structure. So for the rank structure, there are 9 enlisted ranks and 5 officer ranks. So first rank, or E1 to borrow more from the military, is private. That's our lowest rank. That is a trainee who's starting their basic militia training. Their primary role is to carry out orders issued to them to the best of his or her ability. They are the building block of the three-man team, which we will get to later when we talk unit structure. E2, that is corporal. That's the base of the non-commissioned officer ranks. Corporals serve as team leaders of the basic militia unit, the three-man team. Like sergeants, they are responsible for individual training, personal appearance, and cleanliness of soldiers. Privates are promoted to this level after 1 year, or earlier by request of superior. Recruit can begin at this level with experience or prior military training. So, personal appearance and cleanliness of soldiers. Obviously, the stereotype of the militia is not very favorable right now here in the U.S. We're very much looked at as the overweight whack jobs who look terrible in tactical gear, or worse, we are wearing tactical gear. We want to try and push back against that. Obviously, the average American is overweight. We can't get away from that. I'm trying to get away from that. But I think it's not necessarily here in the Lightfoot of, your boots aren't polished enough. It's tuck in your shirt. Try to present yourself as not a slovenly, disgusting blob. I think that's really what we're going for. Anyways, E3, Sergeant. Considered to have the greatest impact on soldiers because sergeants oversee them in their daily tasks. Responsible for individual training, personal appearance, and cleanliness of soldiers. In short, sergeants set an example and the standard for privates to look up to and live up to. Leader of a squad, 2 three-man teams, 7 militiamen total. Recruit can begin at this level with experience or prior military training. So something I didn't touch on with corporal, but it's mentioned again here with sergeant, or the E3 in the Lightfoot rank structure. A lot of the guys who want to do this have more than likely already served. The kind of person who wants to defend his community from enemies, foreign and domestic, oftentimes they've already done that professionally. So in the Lightfoot, we want to utilize that. If you already have the knowledge and the skill set, sorry, you're now in charge, because we need you to help the rest of us who either couldn't take that opportunity or chose not to take that opportunity. We need you to help us get up to speed. E4, Staff Sergeant. That's the leader of a platoon, responsible for developing, maintaining, and utilizing the full range of his soldiers' potential. Recruit can begin at this level with experience or prior military training. Something that we're hitting on, again, with these NCO ranks. Developing, maintaining, and utilizing the full range of soldiers. Responsible for individual training, personal appearance, and cleanliness. It's not just about us all getting together and shooting guns on the weekend. We want to help each other improve and grow. A great example of this on the internet right now has been guys like PNW Gorilla. I'll put a link in the description to him. He and his guys up in the Pacific Northwest are doing a phenomenal job with building tribe, building character, building skill sets, and having a fun time doing it. They are not a Lightfoot militia. They are the Guerrilla Gang, or whatever they like to call themselves, and hopefully I don't get too much flack for mentioning them, but that's kind of where we want to go. We want to have guys helping each other become better versions of themselves while working in this militia structure. All right, number 5, E5, Master Sergeant, Senior NCO or non-commissioned officer and training officer of the company. He oversees all training within the company. He coordinates with the S2, and we'll get to what an S2 is later, and assists the company commanding officer in operational planning. May be selected to be battalion supply officer. E6, First Sergeant, Senior NCO and operations / training officer of the battalion. He coordinates with the S2 and is the key assistant and advisor to the commanding officer in operational planning. So these higher ranks, they sound like they have really grand titles, and they kind of do. I mean, well, grand titles, grand jobs. And they do. I don't know how many of us are actually ever going to get to the point where we're having first sergeants and master sergeants in our Lightfoot units, because finding a fire team's worth of guys that you can train with on a regular basis is going to be hard enough for a lot of us. Again, as I've mentioned in the past, I think the Lightfoot is the ideal we should strive for, but also, let's be realistic, some of this is going to be really hard to get to at first. E7, Sergeant Major. That's the senior NCO and operations officer of the regiment. He oversees all NCOs within the regiment, responsible for enforcement of training doctrine. E8, Command Sergeant Major. He is the senior NCO and operation officers of the brigade. And E9, Sergeant Major of the militia. Senior NCO of the Lightfoot in a state. Assistant to the Adjutant General of the state militia. Alright, so in a perfect world, if we were actually utilizing the foundation of the militia as it used to be, we're talking 1800s, before the formation of the National Guard and things like that, local militia units, not Lightfoot's more recent, trying to bring back the militia culture, you would have some way to organize these individual communities of militiamen together. And so what this rank, the Sergeant Major of Militia, would be, he would be the guy that the militia has voted on to be their kind of liaison officer with the Adjutant General of the state militia. So he would be the guy coordinating with the elected representatives and the governor to organize this militia into a fighting force during times of either war or natural disaster, whatever. Officer ranks. All officer ranks voted upon by the men under their command. Battalion membership vote for their command staff. Combined unit command staffs vote for higher ranks. Okay, so the battalion, everyone in the battalion votes for their battalion command. Anything above a battalion, the battalion commands vote for those. So regiments and brigades, those are voted on by the officers, not by the entire body of the militia. So, officer ranks, Lieutenant, 01. The entry-level rank for officers. Leads company-sized elements consisting of 3 platoons, the company master sergeant, and radio man. May be selected to be battalion executive officer, XO. 02. Captain. Commands and coordinates the county battalion. 03. Major. Serves as commanding officer for the regiment. 04. Colonel. Serves as commanding officer for the brigade. 05. Adjutant General of the militia. Highest ranking officer in the militia of a state, also commander of the National Guard. Assistant to the commander-in-chief of the state militia, your state's governor. So that's someone that we have no control over as militiamen. That's already been created. That's separate from the Lightfoot. But he's listed here to help us kind of understand in what organization priority we should hold him to. Anyway, so those are the ranks of the Lightfoot militia. All right, let's talk unit structure. So we mentioned earlier teams. So the three-man team is the basic building block of the Lightfoot. It consists of 2 privates led by a corporal. Squad. A squad consists of 2 teams led by a sergeant, 7 men total. Next is platoon, which is made up of 3 squads led by a staff sergeant, a radio man, and a medic. So you've got 24 in a platoon. Above that is a company, and that is 3 platoons make up a company, led by a lieutenant, assisted by the company master sergeant with a radio man. Above that we got battalion. Now battalion is the county. It's 3 companies led by a captain with a command staff. Then we have regiment, which is 3 to 4 battalions, led by a major with a command staff. Above that is a brigade, which is 3 regiments, led by a colonel with a command staff. And then the field force is the name given to the entire state militia. Idaho is the 43rd, so it would be the 43rd Field Force. Washington is the 42nd. Utah is the 45th. It's led by the state adjutant general, who is command of the National Guard and militia. The governor is the commander-in-chief of the state militia. Let's talk about the command staff of the battalion really quick. So the command staff, their initial objectives, so this is when either here in Washington County or wherever you guys are out there, you're trying to organize your own militia unit. Initially, the command staff's job is establishing a functioning relationship in the county with, sheriff's department, city councils, mayors, building a working relationship with counties next to us for other Lightfoot units. We're going to work on the local and countywide rapid alert system. So security, intelligence, communications, how do we get a hold of everyone when something happens? We're going to organize the logistical and administrative services for the unit. We'll institute the training program, and we'll try to get recruitment going. So, again, everyone is a member of the militia. This isn't a group. We're not some paramilitary group. We're just trying to help people learn how to militia, how to organize as a militia. So this isn't some clandestine first rule of Fight Club, we don't talk about Fight Club. That is not how this works. Anyways, command staff also has the responsibilities of dissemination of constitutional principles and ideology to the rank and file. So we need to help people learn what the Constitution is, what constitutional law is, what this country is supposed to be like. Go ahead and watch Stephen Pratt's Liberty and Learning series. I'll put that in a description. That's a great source of information. The command staff will also develop and disseminate training material and methods to be used within individual teams. The responsibilities include development and security of tactical and strategic contingency plans for implementation by the tactical teams, coordination of the various units, development and operation of public relations within the community. Kind of touched on that earlier. So, again, we don't want to be secretive. We don't want to be weird or, hiding. We want this to be normal. We want to be as normal as the community softball team type thing. All right, so the battalion command staff includes the XO, who is the lieutenant. This is the S1 executive officer. So I mentioned that S2 earlier. So this is how the various parts of the battalion command are listed. I'll have stuff on the screen. So the lieutenant is the second in command. He disseminates written communications to subordinate units. He handles administrative duties and forms. Lieutenant S2 is our intelligence or communications officer. He maintains and administers the rapid alert system, supervises the counterintelligence program and operational security systems, maintains the security of encoding and decoding systems, supervises intelligence gathering activities, analyzes and reports intelligence information. Then we have a first sergeant, who is the S3 Operations and Training Officer. He establishes and enforces training standards, tailors training to specific mission goals, coordinates with the intelligence officer, and develops the threat assessment folder. He also plans operations under the commanding officer's directions. A master sergeant is the S4, or the supply and logistics officer. He's responsible for the acquisition and accountability of all supplies and material. Again, this is militia. We provide our own stuff. But as budget allows, as resources allow, we should try to gather more long-term kit, more long-term sustainability of the unit. I don't want to hear anyone talking about monthly dues or anything like that. That's not going to be okay. This needs to be something that we, pass around the hat type thing. I think should be as far as we go for asking for funds, but in no way should that should not be a mandatory thing. That's not how militia works. Anyways, Master Sergeant, S4, going back to him. Supervises all logistical support activities, including transport, evacuation, and medical, supply service, and management. We have another lieutenant who's the S5, or liaison officer. He serves as a public relations officer, liaisons with the county sheriff, local officials, and news media. Again, we want to build a positive presence in our communities. Coordinates all interactions between the unit and the public, interviews, public forums, militia open house events, canned food drives, etc. Last thing I really want to touch on in this video is unit geography. So we want to set up the basic Lightfoot unit, the battalion, as a county by county thing. So each county will constitute a battalion, each battalion being made up of 3 companies, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. Alpha Company will be based in the county seat. Bravo is the next largest city. Charlie will be the one after that, and so on, if needed. It's possible that there will be some Lightfoot units out there that will need 4 or 5 or more companies, depending on either the size of the county or the number of people involved, whatever. Militiamen in the outlying areas of the county will join with the company closest to them. So whichever city company you're closest to, that's the one you're going to be participating with. Alright, so above battalion or county level, 3 or more counties will assemble a regiment. 3 regiments shall form the brigade, and there will be multiple brigades covering each state. And we don't have a way... So in the standards, we have a battalion numbering system, but we do not have a regiment numbering system or a brigade numbering system, mostly because we haven't gotten that far yet in our modern militia culture to warrant that level of working with. That's just going to have to be done ad hoc when we get these battalions and these theoretical regiments and brigades off the ground. I hope that is helpful. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this is a bit long. If you have any comments, any questions, post them down below, obviously, and I will catch you all in the next video. Thank you so much, and ciao.